Hi, I'm Travis and this is Curious Tangents, and there's about 86 billion neurons in your brain, meaning that there are more potential connections in your brain than there are stars in the known universe. If we were to say, cut that brain open and look for the creativity, where might that be? And what is creativity and how does it work? Before we get into that though, let's test your creative problem solving. Imagine that you are a doctor and you have a patient who has a tumor around the center of their brain. We'll say this tumor is deep within their frontal cortex, too invasive for you to operate on. There is a ray that's strong enough to destroy the tumor. However, if that ray is strong enough to destroy the tumor, it will also fry your patient's brain. It will kill all of the healthy cells within its way. No, frying the patient's brain is not a solution to this riddle. There are also weaker rays that will not destroy the healthy tissue and will also not destroy the tumor. How are you going to save the patient? Comment the answers below if you would like, but while this video is still new, I will be hiding the answers. Now, back to creativity. It's often said that creativity resides in the right half of the brain, whereas logic lies in the left. There's many problems with this assumption. The first problem with this assumption is the idea that there is a dichotomy between creativity and logic. For instance, the riddle that I've given you takes both creativity and logic to solve. Something being creative does not necessarily mean that it is also illogical. Secondly, it's going to take both halves of your brain to be logical or to be creative. And thirdly, unless you've recently been lobotomized, you are not right or left-brained. The hemispheres of your brain communicate together to produce anything that you do. Well, nearly anything you do, but that's for another video. Around 1831, a ship would set sail from England to the southern seas. On that ship, there was a clergyman who would spend a lot of time studying barnacles and traveling from South Africa to South America to, most importantly, the Galapagos. He would note the subtle differences between the finches and the tortoises on the different islands in the Galapagos. This clergyman was Charles Darwin. When he began his voyage, he already had a background in zoology and geology. When he returned from his voyage, he began to study psychology and botany, and he also had a son. After having his unique experiences on this voyage, studying these different fields, and having his first son, William, he begins to write a document called The Transmutation of Species. And eventually, On the Transmutation of Species would evolve into On the Origin of Species. What's happening here is the creation of connections. In the brain, we would call this synapses. In real life, we call this creativity. And there is a name for what Darwin is doing here. It's called Convergent Thinking. Starting from several different viewpoints, he's arriving in one place. And that one place needs to be looked at from several different angles in order to be achieved. The ideas and experiences that he had acquired throughout his life, studying psychology, botany, and geology, going on that 5-year-long trip to the Galapagos, seeing different species, raising his son, all culminated into the theory of evolution. There are many different ways of thinking. The opposite of convergent is divergent thinking. Think about the umbrella term psychology. There isn't just that field of study. There's behavioral psychology, neuropsychology, cognitive psychology, and abnormal psychology, and many more. These are all diverts of the original thing. By the way, have you saved that patient yet? Up until now, you've probably been passively thinking about that patient. In psychology, we would call that incubation. If you follow or read quote-unquote creative people, then you've probably heard that they often get their ideas in the shower or on walks. In fact, Thomas Edison specifically timed his walks after he had been working on something difficult because he knew he would probably get the breakthrough then. And there is evidence to back that. When you are not actively working on solving a problem, you do not just forget about it. It's thought that your mind is actively working on it in the background. Similar to your brain and to my background, this Rubik's Cube has more possible configurations than there are stars in the known universe. About 43 quintillion different configurations. A number so large that to put that into perspective, I cannot put this into perspective. Creativity is really all about connecting the dots. But the dots are not dots, they're your thoughts, ideas, and experiences. Creativity works much the same way that Darwin did, connecting different ideas, experiences, and knowledge into something new. Well, not really new. It's a remix of all of the old things. In that way, there's nothing really new under the sun. Things are just being approached from different angles. Have you saved that patient yet? If not, rewatch this video and look and see if you can find more clues. And until then, thank you to everyone on my Patreon, and thank you everyone for watching. And if you like this video, consider hitting the bell below so you can be updated for my next video, which is on how to be more creative. Thank you for watching.